everyone.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm Chisa Butler, and I am a transformational coach that helps you feel empowered to do whatever you want to do.
Hello. I am Jessica Pfeiffer, the Healthy Rebel. I am a health and nutrition coach as well as a chef, cooking up great foods, teaching people how to up their game in the kitchen and eat healthier.
Yay.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ferranti, and I'm a transformational health and life coach, helping people empower themselves into their best version. And I hold a vision of them that they are like no other, and they're going to reach all their goals because I believe in them.
Yay.
And I'm Claire Costanzo. I'm a transformational love and relationships coach, and I help people to create and sustain healthy boundaries and communication in all manner of relationships and establishing a strong sense of self-worth and love.
And I'm Heather Hill. My company is Become the New. I'm a holistic health practitioner, and I help people create new behaviors and change habits and level up their nutrition.
All right.
Listen, guys, every time, Claire.
You're like,
Every day I'm like, you know what?
It's Chisa's session with Claire today. We
I
should have
every single
Claire
time.
coach Chisa.
Chisa, I'll sign you up. It's time. It's
I'm like,
time.
So people can see what it's like.
I swear to God, I'm gonna kill somebody. Okay, so we're gonna talk about just being healthy. That's our life now, right? Like it kills me when people they don't want to choose the better. It's just, or like they do something and they know it's not right for them, but they keep doing it just because it's easy. Heather, I say
I have a
it to
cocktail every once in a while.
I
But
mean,
hey, I changed the habit from every day to once in a while.
that right there.
But every time I do it, I know it's not good for me. And I'm like, shut up. Shut up. I'm only going to have one.
It's only one. Who are you talking to? Me.
But no, I think it's like crazy how, because when I get sick now, it doesn't I'm getting over a cold. But I mean, a few years ago, I would have been down and out for weeks.
Yes.
And when I get sick, I think, okay, what do I need to do? I got to stay on the water. I can't give that up. And there's just a different way to get through it now, too.
Lisa, you were sharing something before we got on.
As far as how to cure the common cold,
Yeah, let's hear how to whip it fast.
there is a document that I'm happy to share, but it is holistic in nature in that it's a nebulizer with hydrogen peroxide, DMSO, iodine, and filtered water, and you nebulize for 20 minutes, and the steam just kills the fungal that resides in your body.
Okay.
And I did it a few weeks ago. Probably I had the crud. I tested negative, but I felt like I had the crud. And within about 24 hours, I was a new person.
Oh, nice.
And I also took the Liposomal Vitamin C. And that's something that we should just take normally. It's the purest vitamin C that you can buy in a capsule.
Where do you get it from?
And you can get it all from Amazon.
Oh,
Will you put that in the comments how to spell liposomal? Because I think my husband takes that, and I haven't ordered it for him in a while, and I was really wishing I had it this week.
But yeah, I will. I have to find my document. But yes, yeah.
my mom always
Going holistic, choosing other options than the over-the-counter options that will always, in my mind, have a side effect of some kind.
Yes.
Once I believed that to be true, because I was on the other side thinking that I want to have a quick fix but there's just so much that we can be open to if we choose to choose health and the best thing that's going to work for me. And so,
something I've learned, and I'm not saying that I don't take Advil when I feel bad. Like when I felt really bad this week, I took some Advil. but I don't like to take like the Dayquil and even the night Dayquil stuff or whatever it's called, because it just disguises everything. And then I think I'm better, but I'm no better than I was before.
Mm.
And it's not that I want to feel bad. I just want to know what my body's doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been doing the old-fashioned gargling with salt water.
Oh, people forget about that.
They
That
do, and
is-
it still works.
It works so well. It was the one thing, like my dad with the Vicks Vapor Rub and the salt
Vicks
gargling.
Vapor Rub works too.
It worked, yeah. And it just, I mean, I go back to when I'm feeling really crappy. I go back to that. I'm like, yeah, like I feel better. Like my throat feels better, and it does. It's very simple. But
You know, my mom says for
kills it.
sore throat, suck a lemon. She always says suck a lemon. Suck a lemon. Every time I say, like, the kids say their throat's starting to hurt, or me, like, my throat, she's like, suck a lemon. It'll kill
That
whatever.
hurts.
And that's what she says. The pain will heal it faster. And I'm like, I was like, you expect me to get just 3-year-old to suck lemon, ma'am? Like, how does that work? I'm better off squeezing the lemon and be like, chug this. Let's go. Just chug it, sir.
You know, something I shared with Jessica a long time ago, she was having a sinus infection, and I got pregnant. When I got pregnant, they don't want you to take antibiotics. They want you to be healthy when you're pregnant. So they wouldn't give me one for my sinus infection. And I found this tea online, and it's just apple cider vinegar, lemon, honey to your taste, and a cup of water. And I've used it to cure so many sinus infections over the years. My husband's even a believer now, because he just thought I was so silly. Just go get the antibiotic, Heather.
So
I'm like, no, I want to try this first.
It works.
Yeah.
What was the question, Chisa?
I said apple cider vinegar and honey.
Yeah, honey to taste, half a lemon, a cup of water, and it's 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar.
Because my son, I had to cut him off of dairy. I had to.
Yeah.
I had
to cut Jack off.
He went
because the ear infections were incessant.
He went from a left ear infection to not getting any, like, still sounding like snotty and congested, to a right ear infection. And I'm like, sir, like, we're driving home and he's like, can I have some chocolate milk? No.
Yeah.
No. I was like, after today, you get no more milk. He's like, okay. And then he comes home, he's like, can I have some milk? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, we do all almond milk.
No ice cream, I'm listing all stuff out. And I'm like, if you want some ice cream, I got some coconut ice cream in there. You are welcome to have it. If you want that, I will buy a whole plethora of the flavors for you, but you're not getting any more.
Yeah, we do coconut ice cream because of that. But he had, I think I mentioned one time before, he had 2 sets of tubes when he was 2.5, and it still didn't cure it. He had to have another set when he was 3.5, and it still didn't cure it. And then I woke up and was like, let me just try this no dairy thing, and they were gone. Because he was full of mucus, and he was feeding it
and he's
with
like,
the milk.
He'll be sick, and that's the only thing he wants is just a cup of milk. And I'm like, and I have to tell my husband, do not give him no milk. And then I come in and I'm like, what the hell did I say? Like, no milk means none, like none.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
That was hard for Craig too, because he grew up on milk, but
yeah.
He can drink milk now. He just couldn't tolerate it when he was younger.
Well, I need these ear infections to be gone. My baby sound like he can't breathe at night sometimes. And it's like I have to sit him up, or you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's I would rather you be comfortable than be that mother like, oh yay, baby, you can have some milk. No, you can't, sir. Like you can't have nothing. Like no yogurt, no nobody, no nothing.
And that they breathe through their mouth when they're sick like that, and that's so not good for you to get into the habit of breathing through your mouth. And that sounds so insane, but there's like proven science behind it. It's fascinating.
It's like
what
especially session.
Yeah, it's bad. That's how we get the sore throats. You're breathing through your mouth. It's just
cavities.
Give me some of that vitamin C, and when you post the information for the stuff, I'm getting me a nebulizer and all that stuff.
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be doing it. Your turn first, your turn next. Let's do it, everybody.
For sure.
Yeah, I used to have a doctor. He was an eye doctor, but he was a very natural. He always did natural remedies. As my best friend's dad, but he always recommended colloidal silver, and I cured many colloidal little like sore throat kind of sickness with colloidal silver, and they sell it at health food stores like Whole Foods has it, and I don't know why I don't have any. When I got pregnant, they changed me. They wanted me to do everything the other way not the way I learned. And you get a lot of pushback when you're going to a Western doctor 24/7 when you're pregnant. And I think that's when I kind of let go of a lot of my natural remedies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing them all back now, though.
Hey,
Yeah.
those back in the day things work for you.
Yeah,
Well,
they
right,
did.
and that's what we were doing too with this cleanse, is doing natural stuff, right? Go
Yeah.
back to
And
what
I
was,
just haven't been sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for so long.
I hadn't been either.
And we're
This
more
year.
susceptible to sickness when we run ourselves to death and don't
Mhm.
rest.
That's what I
Yeah.
think happened to me. I found that I had been slipping a little bit and staying up a little bit too much, too
Yes.
late,
I'm hoping.
and getting up a little bit too early, and
Yes.
probably getting 4, 5, if I'm lucky, hours of sleep.
Yep.
And I had done that for about a week and a half prior to myself getting sick.
Yep.
And I talked to my naturopathic doctor, and and he asked how much sleep I was getting. I was like his first question.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, and that with everything going on, your sleep is so important. And I just hadn't really tied the dots. I've always been oh yeah.
Yes.
But now I know personally that I'm looking at the clock now at 9:30, and it's like, oh, it's like 9:30. I want to be in bed by 10.
Yep. That's me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there, ladies, but my goal is to get there, is that I go to bed by 10
Mm-hmm.
and I get up by 5 and I do my studying from 10 to 5. From 5 to 10.
Maybe that's why because I had the cold, the cruddy one, and then it went away and then it came back.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was a new cold, a milder one, but I really have been burning the midnight oil, not every night, but I wasn't hitting that 9:30 bedtime. And when I got better, I still worked out, and I
Yes.
wasn't getting as much rest. I can look back at my records and see that.
Can look back at what I've done.
So I talked about the Aura ring
Yeah.
Mhm.
by my phone.
And now you're getting
And now all I see is
Yes.
Aura ring advertisements.
Uh-huh.
Of course.
things we've talked about on Marco Polo pop up in my Amazon suggestions. They're listening.
They
I
are.
wonder if colloidal silver will pop
I was
up
going to
for
say
us now.
colloidal silver is going to pop right now.
Look, everything needs a
No, it's
name.
not.
She don't even have to
Not
do the
that one.
document. We have it right here.
Yeah, I'll say a nebulizer, hydrogen peroxide, DMSO, and iodine. And then everybody will, I should look at what kind of nebulizer you need.
And then
Yes.
liposomal vitamin C. I can't wait to see if this stuff pops up, see if the natural stuff.
Yeah.
But if it's a bot, they don't know the difference,
No.
right?
Yep. I'm going to get all of this because for me, I know my sleep, it was the thing because I try to be in bed by 10 because 5 a.m. club, 5 a.m.
Yeah,
club
it's hard.
really, really fast. And I didn't slack. Like no matter if I went to sleep at freaking 11, I was still up at 5 a.m. because I'm like, this is what I committed to, right? But then I started to feel like it hit me like a train though. I was like, I'm dying. I died.
I died.
What is
Past
going
tense.
on?
It's happened.
It was so horrible. And then I was like chugging, like I don't do NyQuil like you, Heather. It makes me feel horrible because it starts to make you feel all woozy and tingly.
I can't wake up from it.
And then when you do wake up, you're like, I'm still so tired. Like I don't feel any better than I did when I went to sleep. Yes. Yeah. So, but I did the Mucinex, the one with the honey. And that's really, for me, I think that's really good. And I just kept taking it and then it went away. And another thing my mom says, if you catch, like, how like you have phlegm in your throat, and if you once you cough it up, if it has blood on it, that's the initial part that continues to make you sick. So if you can cough that up initially, that it'll ease the symptoms from coming. So the faster you can get rid of that piece, the faster it will. And it's the truth. Like I've seen several times, like when you get really sick and you're like coughing up, but if it's like it comes from the deep down.
Yeah.
That's why I try to teach my child, stop sniffling, stop sucking the
Get it
snot
out.
back. Blow your damn nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, but yes.
Oh my gosh, Jack will blow his nose without a Kleenex. I'm like, buddy,
Without
I have a Kleenex to blow it.
I was like, oh, no, wait, what?
He's 8 now. He's not as bad about it, but he used to just, okay, I'll blow. Like,
Just in his shirt
literally.
sleeve.
Yeah.
Just blow
That's
out
what you
the air.
asked, Mom. I was like, but when you get the tissue, he's literal.
This isn't a remedy that I have like in terms of taking like a supplement or anything like a tincture or anything like that. But it's very much my life that today in terms of sleep. Just go to your dentist or orthodontist in terms of there's certain things you can do to help sleep but if you really have an issue, you might have some stuff going on structurally, like what I had. I have some structural things going on that have affected my sleep for the past several years, and I'm getting them taken care of. And I just had like some jaw liners put in today, and I just had like the best nap that I've had in a while.
So good.
By just like, because my jaw's even now on its first day in a better position having them in. And it just makes if you have a structure, you very well might have a structural thing going on.
Okay, I have to tell y'all a dentist story, and I'm guilty of not going to the dentist regularly too. But I had a friend who just got so sick, and they could not figure out why. Every test under the sun, he fainted at a coffee shop, and they had to call an ambulance. And I mean, for months, he was going through all this testing, and it was when the Rona hit, like back in 2020. So a year passes, and he's been on full spectrum antibiotics. They cannot heal him. And he's just like, what is wrong with my health? So he finds a naturopathic doctor, and she starts to help him with some herbs and like some antibacterial Chinese herbs. And then one day he tells her he's got to go to the dentist because his cap popped off. And she's like, wait a second, your cap on your tooth popped off? And he said, yeah, just popped off. And she said, that is not normal. And she's like, have you been to the dentist lately? And he said, no. Okay, so he goes to the dentist. He finds out that he had an infection in his tooth, in his back tooth. He never had pain. He had pain in his neck, but that infection had been in his jaw for so long that it had gotten into his blood. And he had sepsis. Like he almost died. It was a miracle that he was alive. He had no idea. He had been to doctors at the Mayo Clinic, all kinds of doctors, but they were all looking at one thing or one system or this one thing. And nobody ever said, hey, does your neck hurt? Does your jaw hurt? Have you been to the dentist? But that naturopathic doctor asked him first thing, when was the last time you went to the dentist? Because your thing should just not pop off your tooth like that.
How long was he walking around with a popped off cap?
That was only like for a few days.
Oh, wow.
But that was the end result of a year of no one knowing what was wrong with him.
Yeah.
And your mouth is the gateway to you, like you have to be really, you should be flossing. You should be taking care of your mouth.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my God.
So a tooth x-ray would have revealed that he had an infection a year before.
Oh my God.
I mean, and I am so guilty. I still haven't been to the dentist. I'm going to go next month. I mean, like not next month, but next week I have an appointment. But isn't that crazy?
In the military, your appointments for your dental is something that it's kept up. So for me, when people say I haven't been to the dentist in like blah, blah, blah years. I'm like, what? So, because for me, it's like, if you didn't have, like, we redline and like, okay, you need a dental appointment. They're calling you when you're coming in. Okay, you need this, you need that. When I first joined the military, they pulled off four of my wisdom teeth. And I was 20. And they were like, yeah, these got to go. And I'm like, 20 years they've been going, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were like, yeah, no, they got to go. And I'm like, what the heck? So they were gone. And when the dentist pulled them, he had to cut my gum to get them out. And then he stitched me up, and I'm like in pain because I'm like, what? He didn't tell me he stitched me up. And I'm like, I feel something. And like, you know how you keep messing with it, and it started bleeding. I was like, I'm going to die, guys. Like,
I thought that when I got mine pulled too.
I went to a friend's house and he's like, are you hungry? I'm like, no, do you not know what's going on in my mouth? He's like, well, it's mashed, but his mother had made his mother came to visit and she made mashed potatoes, and it wasn't like the creamy, you know, like I don't eat
it's
I
like
don't eat
chunky.
potatoes. At that time I didn't eat mashed potatoes, I didn't eat interview. And he's like, oh, it's okay, you have to eat something. And I'm like, I am dying and you want me to eat these mashed potatoes? Like, don't eat. So they were all chunky. I was like, this just hurts. I don't want it no more. But it baffles me knowing, like, you know, the military world to the civilian world, like people don't keep up with the things that they, I guess, teach us. Because
I know, but like I take my child.
I know.
But after I heard that
it,
story,
right?
his wife told me that story once it all came together, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
So you got to look at the whole body, the whole system.
The things that you don't think. So part of the test, apparently your jaw is linked to the strength of your arms, your forearms.
What?
So he did a test to me. He goes, resist me trying to put your arms apart. I easily did it with my jaw liners in. I easily resisted him. When he goes, okay, now pop them out. I couldn't resist it. I couldn't. I wasn't strong enough without the jaw liners in.
Is that something your doctor normally does?
No. That's an orthodontist.
Because my in the military, that's something that they test.
Oh, really?
Pushing in and pushing out.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. I don't believe that's ever.
I have done that before, but I don't remember what kind of doctor it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like the whole like kinetic, you know, I've been to like, you know, what do you call it? Kinesiology, is it called?
Yeah.
I've done that, but I just didn't think how my jaw could relate to this specific, like my strength. It was just weird. I mean, nothing really weirds me out. I'm kind of into this stuff. I just hadn't had that done before. And I was really thrilled.
That's crazy.
I was like, wow, okay, like, this is like proof, like on the first day that this is working to help me. So yeah.
So I went to get acupuncture today, and I have something wrong with my finger. It's got an infection or something I don't know. But he did points on each side of my cuticle just to bring energy to it. But they connect to your right nostril, and my nose has never been so clear in my life. I'm laying there and I'm like, Mark, I can breathe so freely. And, you know, I've been kind of stopped up. And he also does cupping on my back. So I had been on my back, on my stomach, laying face forward. I mean, I could breathe like they're just beautifully. And I told him, and he goes, well, that's because the points on your finger are connected. He was like, it's crazy, but they're connected to your left nostril. The right index finger goes to the left nostril. And we opened up all the pathways or whatever.
So cool.
So did he find out what's wrong?
Mind blown. What?
Did he find out what's wrong with your finger?
I've been to a regular doctor. I asked my chiropractor and I asked him, and they all agree that there's an infection, that my nail bed is probably infected. And I have all kinds of options. I have antibacterials from my acupuncturist. I have a prescription for an antibiotic from the doctor. So I don't know. I'm going to try the antibacterials first.
Try this DMSO. If you guys go and you look
and I'm
at
soak it in Epsom salt.
Healing powers of DMSO, it's amazing.
Lisa, does that come in liquid? Okay, you put it here. It comes in liquid then. Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
The swelling has already gone down in my finger, and the pain is way less. I mean, it was like a level 8 pain this morning, and it goes up and down. I can't figure out what the deal is. Like, it hurts.
Is it like a throbbing? Like a throbbing pain?
No, but if you touch it, or if I bump it, it's really bad. But it's only on the top. And okay, so I smashed my finger in a car door, like a really heavy car door, when I was 16, and I got an infection in my nail. My nail fell off. It all grew back, hunky dory. That happens it was like every 5 years or so. And then as I got older, it started happening every few years, and it hasn't happened in a long time, but it's not in my nail. It's like it can't get up to my nail. I think because my nails are really healthy. I think my nail beds and everything are just super healthy from the collagen and the eating clean and just cleaning everything up. So I don't know.
Wow. So
the doctor said a hand surgeon. The chiropractor said I'd lance it. And I was like, well, I would too, Alan, but it hurts. He was like, not you. You got to have someone do it. But
Oh my
The doctor
God.
wasn't real sure. They x-rayed it. The bone's okay. The bone is fine.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'll tell y'all what happens next. I'm
Yeah.
just
Tell
hoping
us
it
in the
all
next coach's corner.
right. The
The
saga of
cliffhanger.
Heather's finger. It's like my 80-year-old finger. It's been crooked. And I showed it to some nurses this weekend. There were 3 nurses on the retreat, and one of them was like, I was
That
like,
ain't
"It's
okay, honey.
always been crooked since I smashed it in the door." And she goes, "Okay."
Oh,
She said, "I was really
no.
worried." And I was like,
Listen,
"No, it's
go to
been
the hospital
crooked."
now, ma'am. That's doctors.
Like, no, that's not from the pain or the swelling. That's just
Oh,
apparently I
wow.
ruptured a tendon when I was 16, probably. But my parents just didn't really take me to the doctor, unless I was
Yeah,
deathly ill or something.
yeah.
So,
That was me. I twisted my ankle when I was younger. I can't even remember. And my mom asked me, it hurt so bad, guys. Like, when you lay down and then the next morning when you wake up, it's swollen, then you can't walk. That was me. My mother was like, I was living with, I think my aunt at the time. My mom she was like, do you need to go to the hospital? I was like, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know these things. So I'm like, I mean, I'm not dying. And for now, like, I still think that how it looks it looks different than the other one. It kind of still looks swollen. And when I told her, I was like, I think I need to go to the doctor because this is not looking right. She was like, it's too late now.
yeah, that was my dad.
You
He would
missed
always
your
say, "Well, do we need to
chance.
go to the hospital?" And was he joking? I'm like, maybe. Like
I
one
mean,
time I cut my wrist when I was really little playing in his shop, and oh, my mom freaked out, and it was all this blood. My dad was like, "Oh, it's fine." And he did take me to the hospital that time.
I know. I feel like I told my mom, I was like, I feel like, when these questions you ask when I'm a child, like, I don't know, man. It's like when I was pregnant with my daughter, my water broke. And I was like, I think my water broke. She was like, you think? I said, but I never had no kids. I don't know. And she's like, well, go to the hospital. I was like, well, I'm already getting dressed. Like, I wasn't going to sit around and wait to wonder what that thing was. It literally was
Parrot.
like
Was
the
that or
movies.
was
Like,
that?
I heard a popping sound and I scooched the edge of the bed. And when I stood up, it didn't splash like they make it look in the movies, but it was like I peed
Right.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all know if that's what your water breaking feels
It
like.
was real. Like, and for my
Crystal.
son, it didn't happen that way either. Like, it was so many different things. And I don't want to have another child to test to see what happens again. Like, I'm over it. But the pop for my daughter was super loud, and the pop for my son was like a muffled pop, but no liquid popped out.
Oh.
So, but for her, let me tell y'all, my water broke at 1:00 in the morning. And I didn't get to the hospital till 2:15 because I kept feeling like I had to pee. And I kept going to the bathroom. And then finally I was like, I gotta go. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I drove myself to the hospital. I pull up in the parking lot. And as I step out the truck, I felt this gush. I was like,
Jesus.
so I dropped to my knees, and I was in Germany, and the guy was like, alles klar? I'm like, I think I'm okay. Like, what do I tell this man? Like,
That's how my mom trained me to be. I'm okay. It's just
yes,
a broken
I'm
ankle.
okay. So then I go to the front desk, and the woman's like, I said, my water broke. She's like, oh yeah, take the elevators to the 5th floor.
Walk
So then
yourself over to the.
I did. I got in the elevator, and at this point I had grabbed my purse because I had everything packed in the truck. I grabbed my purse with my laptop in it and my phone and a charger, just because I was like, you don't know what's gonna happen. Go up to the 5th floor. I go to the room she tells me to. The lady's like, oh honey, you're at the wrong end. I'm like, y'all, I'm gonna have to take you in the hallway. So she walks me. She didn't let me send me by myself. She walks me to the room. They put me in this single room. Mind you, it's 2:00 in the morning now. They put me in a single room, and they're like, okay, we're gonna test to see how far you're dilated. Blah 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 blah. Now I'm naked from the bottom down, right? And she goes, oh, you're 5 centimeters dilated. I said, well, okay. She's like, we're gonna move you. I said, there's no moving me. This is it. This is my end destination. You should have put me where you wanted me to be before this, because now I'm naked.
Yeah.
And we're doing this. So then the lady comes in. She's like, oh honey, you can't get an epidural. You didn't get your okay. And I'm like, I mean, at this point, what am I gonna do? Like, she's like, well, we can give you a local and see how that works. Oh my God, I cannot. I'm on the live. Get your whole life together. Give me 5 minutes.
I have to get going, but,
Okay, bye.
but I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Bye,
So
Claire.
I had I'm in the room and she's like, we can give you a local, because in Germany they don't believe in anesthesia. They don't believe in
They're very natural medicine. My daughter lives there. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, like people tell me, they're like, oh, you're gonna have a horrible pregnancy, you're gonna have a horrible delivery because it's so gonna be so painful. So when they asked me that I wanted, I was like, I absolutely do want this. Like, yes. So I couldn't make it to the I couldn't even make it to the local because she was coming, and I had her naturally, and the lady was like, well, that we didn't have time. Oh,
At least it went quick.
It did. I got in the hospital at 2:15. I had her at 2:45. Like, it was done.
Wow, that's unheard of. Like with your first baby.
And that's what people were like. I was like, look, I guess the baby gods were with me because I can't be doing it. Well, my second child, my water broke at 5:15, and I had him at 6:35.
Wow.
Yeah, and it didn't. The whole water, like his situation, I told my husband, so that my water, like I was bleeding at 34 weeks, so they kept me home. And finally, when it was time to have him, I told my husband, I was like, I think it's time. Now, mind you, every day since the 34-week mishap, we were dressed and ready to go, me and my daughter, every single day. Like, I was like, I don't know what's going to go down. We got to be dressed and ready. Bags were in the truck already. So the clothes we had in the truck, we just never going to wear them until the day. We get in the, I go downstairs, and my husband and my daughter are sitting on the couch, and I say, I think it's time to go to the hospital. And he's like, okay, what does that mean? I said, my water broke. What? He's running around the house talking. Now, mind you, he had an outfit so the way our house was, it was base housing, and you walked in the door, had our dining room right there, and then our stairs to go upstairs. He had his outfit to put on that chair for the longest, right? And I'm like, the couple days before, I was like, are you ready? He's like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever's to come. So he's running around the house talking about, my bag's not packed. I don't have nothing to wear. And I was like, oh. I said, well, you know what? I'll go outside. So me and my daughter go outside. We pull the truck out. We're standing outside. And at the time we had a dog, and we had a friend come pick up the dog. And he's like, what are you doing? And I said, well, 2 of us can't freak out. So at this point, he's in there freaking out. If you want to know what's going on, you can go inside, because we're going to just stand outside and wait. And it really did, like, I guess I do have a really, really high tolerance for pain, because it just, even with my daughter, it just felt like they were twisting and turning. Like, she was like twisting and like turning, and then finally she just came. And for my son, they did the same little tests, that they had me in the room with. And I started getting really hot, and he was like, do you want an epidural? I said, no. I said I didn't want one. He was like, here's my husband. Are you sure? I think you might need to get one. Like, I was like, no, I don't want it. Then because by that time I heard all these horror stories about having an epidural, how people back went out and how all this different. I was like, listen, I would rather push through this pain than to have my back out, because I already got issues because when I had my daughter, my hip started slipping. So it's like all these things that connect, and then we add things that people say will help us be better, right? Like the epidural, that'll help you have, pain. But then I hear so many horror stories, and I'm like, now I don't even know how to feel about any of it. Like, do I need an epidural? And I had him without medicine too.
Well, in hindsight, I learned that what was in the epidural was really hard on me. And I wonder if that's one of the reasons my Graves flared up, because I learned after that I had the whole MTHFR gene, which means I don't methylate, I don't process toxins, and there was fentanyl in that epidural. And that does not work with me. Like, I think I had that one other time when I had surgery when I was younger. And, I was kind of excited because it was my wisdom teeth, and everyone was like, oh, the drugs. And I was like, yeah. I came out of there bawling, like apologizing to my dad and confessing everything you can imagine. And I'm so sorry. But anesthesia is hard on me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what was in my epidural. I don't really know because, they don't tell you what's in it. They don't, and they just, and it didn't really help either. But I learned to ask what you're putting in me and to kind of notice how you feel after stuff like that, because it could mean something.
Yes. Like the nerve blocker. That I had 2 surgeries on my foot to remove a tumor.
That's
the first
right.
time I didn't have it. The second time I had a nerve blocker, and it hurt worse than my first time. I was like,
How
yeah,
interesting.
it was horrible. Like, I was like, why does my foot hurt so bad? And they were like, oh, the nerve blocker, it should be wearing off. I was like, it's like 2 days after my surgery. Like, what the heck? So for me, when people are like, oh, I'm gonna get a nerve blocker, I'm like, you might want to think twice about that nerve blocker, because literally I
just don't know. There might be something about you that processed it differently or
Yes.
whatever, or didn't process it, or
it was
I
horrible.
don't know. But
You know, if people would slow down the fine print, on the commercials, take this
Yes.
for that. And then if they would slow down the fine print, I think my camera went out of.
No, we
yeah, I
can
think
still
it's
see.
just when you
But,
move, it's just refocusing.
Anyway, we have the right, and we should ask what is being put in our body.
Yes.
And
Yeah, and it's hard to ask. I feel bad when I'm asking, or I get nervous at the doctor. But today at the doctor, I was like, well, can you tell me about this antibiotic? Can you tell me, is it full spectrum? Is it specific to something? And then I told him about my MTHFR thing. And that is a big deal, because there are certain antibiotics that have a big, that I won't process well, which is probably why I had anaphylactic shock with penicillin and other things. So he was very kind. He was a PA, he was a physician's assistant. And I've heard that they're easier to talk to about things. And I was just really glad that I had him, because it made me less afraid to ask. But I wanted to know, do I really need to take it? When do you want me to take it? Like, if what doesn't work, when do you want me to see the hand surgeon first? Is the surgeon going to make me take it? Because I just have had negative experiences many, many times.
People make it not okay to, like, so I have the Invisalign, and when I got, they put these things on, and when they take them off, you'd only wear the guard at night. Well, when I originally got them taken off, they didn't give me, when I first went in for my first appointment, they told me they were going to put a permanent line. Can you please? They were going to put a permanent, the retainer in the back. Well, they didn't. And every day since then, my teeth have been shifting back. So when I went, I had an appointment, I want to say last week, maybe this week, the beginning of Tuesday. It was a Tuesday. And she was like, oh, well, you're going to have to wear your bottom retainer all day. And then we'll bring you back in 2 weeks. Well, the appointment they ended up giving me wasn't 2 weeks. It was like 4 weeks. So, you know how when you start investigating yourself, right? I became a dentist, right? I started investigating, and I could see that one of my 2 front bottom teeth, it does not look like it will fit back, because it needs to be shaven. Now, let me back up a little bit. When I originally started getting my stuff shipped, they shaved each, like, any space that didn't look like it was going to turn back perfectly, to just so it can give it room. Well, I called, I want to say yesterday, and I told the girl, I said, I need to know if I can come in earlier, because if I wait 4 weeks, I feel like I'll be wasting time, because it'll be wasting time because it won't fit back perfectly. And the conversation me and her had was, we will make it to how you want it, to where you're my mental, right? How I want to see it. And then we'll make it however you do. And then we'll put the back mark. So she's like, hold on a second. She comes back. She was like, well, I talked to, I want to say one of the physician assistants, right? And she was like, well, just keep your same appointment and we'll see what it comes. And I said, okay. I said, I'm not trying to be pushy. I said, but I'm telling you that the state I'm sitting at right now, it will not be any different in 4 weeks, because of the fact that I can tell my tooth will not straighten out because of how it's sitting. And she's like, okay, well, I can give you an appointment if you would like. I do. So then she looks it up and she's like, I have one on the 25th at 3:35. And I said, I'll take it. She was like, oh, you will? Like, I feel like she expected me to be like, oh no, I can't do that. Like, but for me, if you tell me I have one in 5 minutes, you best believe I'm in my truck and I'm at that dentist but my reason for saying this to people is because of the fact that sometimes we sit and allow people to tell us we don't need something, or this is better for us, or this is this. I don't understand if it's a doctor being like, this is good, but sometimes you need to question why, how, what, all those things, because if you don't feel comfortable doing anything, nobody has the right to tell you that you can't feel a specific way. And my biggest thing is, you're not doing this for me for free. I paid for it. Like, anytime I go to get a service, anything, I think my biggest thing, like my husband, like if you go out to eat and you get food and it doesn't come back to what you want, and he's like, I would just sit here and not send it back. And I'm like, but that's not what I ordered. And he's like, well, I just don't want to complain. And I said, well, at this point, when they took the order and they were writing my stuff down, that's not what came out on the plate. So I'm going to send it back because I am not satisfied with what you brought out. And I'm not going to eat what you brought out just because I want to be the nice one. Why do I have to be the nice one? Why can't you get my stuff right? I mean, I know people make mistakes, but I'm telling you, a mistake was made and I do not want this. I will not accept, like, it's accepting half something because you believe you don't deserve to get what you want. And that's the biggest thing. We feel like we don't deserve to question somebody when they say something to us. And for my 2022, I decided, like, I will not. So you know how people say something to you and you feel some kind of way about it, but if you don't ask the question, you only feel that way, and that's not what they meant. So for 2022, I have decided that I will no longer sit and question when somebody says something, if this is what they meant instead of that. And I'll tell you, it came up several times. Please restate what you're saying, because I need to make sure that I am understanding what you're saying, because you don't get to make me feel. And in reality, we make ourselves feel like that because now.
That's what I was going to say. Sometimes it's all in your own head.
Yes,
that's not what they meant at all.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, are you saying that this person's more important? Like that, things like that. It's like, so I'm clear on what you're saying. So I'm not making up stuff in my head. And then it sits in your head because you don't know the answer. And it plays back and forth and back and forth. And then by the time you're done, a week later, you're so wrapped up in that comment that you thought what you got out of it, that wasn't what they said. But it's like, for me, if you don't address that situation, you cannot be mad at anybody else for a length of time because you didn't dive into like, what did you mean when you said that? Like, I am taking that kind of offensive. What do you mean? And that's where we have to be, literally, is being okay with questioning somebody if they did something. Being okay with, hey, the doctor said take this. What other options are there for me? Like, is this my only option, right? Like,
he was so nice when I asked, and he just explained it all, and he didn't judge me. He was probably just impressed that I asked, because most people, I mean, I just happen to know that about my body, and I've had enough bad reactions that he was like, what kind of reaction did you have to penicillin? And I was like, well, I stopped breathing. That's a problem. And I was like, iodine too. And he could immediately put those two together, not iodine, but the dye that's in MRI. And he said, I bet iodine would affect you. But when I had my MRI for a leg thing that I had, my entire throat closed, my nose closed, I couldn't breathe at all, and my eyes closed, and
oh my God.
So, but they didn't ask or know about that gene, and they just didn't. Hindsight's 2020, right? But yeah, that was an interesting experience. But that's when I first started to figure out that drugs, and not like, I don't know about regular drugs, like drugs, non-legal drugs, but anesthesias and even antibiotics, they were really affecting me drastically, and I didn't know why.
Jessica, that ponytail is very cute.
It is super cute.
The ponytail?
It looks
how you have it pulled back.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about everything that you guys are saying, and it's like, this is why we do what we do, is to help people get through those difficult times with doctors.
And to empower them to advocate.
That's right. And we're here for you guys to do that, for everybody to be that person that will ask the questions.
Be okay with asking questions. Do not meet like that's when yesterday we did another live and I felt, like I am big on 2022 changing, leveling up. And when we mute ourselves because somebody else is uncomfortable, now it's you're saying to yourself, you don't matter.
You're not worth it. Yeah.
You don't matter to be heard. You don't
But
matter.
you're also assuming they're uncomfortable because maybe they're not, Oh.
You're so uncomfortable, girl.
Well, I'm often thinking, oh, they don't want to do that or they don't have time for that
Yes.
or something.
Yes,
but
yes,
I can't make that choice for someone. They need to make that choice.
Yes. I mean, it's just
if I take the choice away, I can take all their opportunity away.
Yeah.
So
people, I mean, it goes back to the thing we talked about before, right? When I would take my lunch to events when I had at work, like I
thought about you this weekend, but y'all, they had a vegan dish for every meal because
that's good.
A lot of the people were fasting in a certain way. And this one chick, oh my gosh, she's like anointed with cooking. She was incredible, but she made a really healthy meal with chicken. And then she had a vegan, sugarless, even sugar-free desserts that were made out of, that were cookies that were just incredible, made out of almonds and almond butter.
I tried that dairy-free key lime pie by, what's that company?
There's dairy in key lime pie?
There's sweetened condensed milk.
I used to make it. I haven't made it in a long time.
Horrible.
I make it with egg yolks now, but eggs aren't technically dairy, but they're sold in the dairy aisle.
Yeah.
I make it more like a custard.
So my sister decided, she was like, she's been reading What You Eat, you Die, something.
Well, that just threw me, Jessica. I've always made it with egg yolks.
Disease. Is Eat to Beat Disease?
No, it's die, something die. And originally I thought it said diet. So I looked at it. I was like,
there's a book that I need to get, Eat to Beat Disease. And it's
How to Not Die. How to Not Die. That's what it's called. And she's like, I realize now that I need to make a lifestyle change. So when I went vegan, I told her, she was like, no, there's no freaking way. Like, no. So now she's like, okay, I can't be like you. I have to do it piece by piece. So her first thing is bacon, right? Because that's the first thing she told me. She was like, that's the only pork I eat. I just can't get rid of it. So now she's like, okay, I'm gonna do pork. But her husband, the funny thing is, she had made some ginger snap cookies, I think, for Christmas. And I was like, oh, send me that recipe. I'll vegan it up. And he was like, what the hell you mean vegan it up? And she was like, she's a vegan now. He was like, what? And I was like, what you so mad about? He was like, so everybody else gotta be a vegan because you a vegan. I said, whoa, sir, like that's not the case. I made a life choice. I made a decision. Everybody else still eats meat. I just choose the opposite, and I cook several options, right? And he's like, well, so you don't eat bacon? I was like, why does everybody think bacon is life? Like, I don't understand. So, I mean, bacon is good, don't get me wrong. And when I went to that, I went to a retreat, this lady cooked for us. She was an amazing cook, but she made, I think we talked about it before, the cracker with the bacon on it with the brown sugar. And everybody's like, this is so delicious. I looked at it and I knew I had, like, you know when you've committed and you've like done it, like it's it. I was like, well, enjoy. But it's a choice that when you make a choice for yourself, you got to stick to it. Like, and I know you talked about, Heather, like you just, you still have, a drink here and there, but what your limit is, that you can't. So, and that's the difference, right? Like,
and it's like maybe once a month, but I still think about it. Like, is this going to serve me? And I'm like, it's going to be fine as long as you just have one. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it to chase anything away. I'm not doing it to not feel something. All those things are important too.
I don't know. I just like, I feel like feeling amazing is so like that level of that next level of you is why I am okay with cutting things out and not eat like, oh no, I don't need that. It takes me a little longer sometimes to get my meals together because I'm like, what the heck am I gonna eat? Like, okay, because you can make some chicken and call it a day and be good. Now I'm like, okay, well, I got some tofu in there. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to tell you guys that her cooking this weekend really opened my eyes because number one, I hadn't had beans in that quantity in years, but I was quite fine with it. My
Nice.
body loves them just fine. It didn't make me feel bloated or bad or anything. So that was good to know.
Yeah.
But it was so good. And I was just so appreciative that she did that and offered these options up because I did not expect that. But she wanted to cook because she wanted to make it inexpensive for everyone. And it was like, it was gourmet. We were all like, are you going to do this for a living? Because we're going to sign up right now. You can just make our meals and we'll pick them up.
I mean,
So I want to go on a retreat with Jess.
I know, me too. I
Yeah,
can't wait
and
to
then
start doing retreats.
she can be our
One of
cook.
4 of us. We need to
But-
have the East Coast meets the West.
Exactly.
For
So
sure.
are
Let's
we
do
going
it.
to do another cleanse starting soon?
We have to do one soon.
Yeah, we talked about February, right?
Yep. I think
We're
we
going to
should
do it
do
in
it.
February?
I thought we were.
How exciting.
Yeah, because I'm ready to keep going. Like
I haven't stopped. I
Me-
haven't added. I've had a few bites of like goat cheese, nut thinking, and then I was like, oh, that was dairy. It was really good. But I then like today I missed my cheese because I like to have cheese and nuts, but I just didn't have it. And I'm still not drinking coffee, so I don't need any creamer.
Yeah.
You're
And
back on coffee?
I'm
No.
still I'm not
No,
no
you-
coffee for me.
I know.
What
I'm
is it?
doing warm lemon water every morning. I'm telling you, it gets my body. I feel alive after I drink
I've
it.
started drinking water very first thing. I'm craving that actually, which is probably really good.
Heather,
Yeah.
what was on your? What kind of toast was that the date? I commented on your. You had the avocado and
It was cauliflower toast, but it has Parmesan cheese in it.
Yeah. That's the problem with the.
I had to cut it out. I mean, I finished the box, but then I went
You
dairy
don't
free.
want it sitting in the house.
Yeah,
I don't want to waste it.
Who's gonna waste this? But yes, that's the problem when people make the cauliflower or anything. Is the bonder that they have to make it is cheese. So,
But I think fresh homemade bread is kind of okay for me over dairy.
Sure. If you're
Yeah.
using like, unbleached flours and, organics and you're
Mhm.
making it at home, it's always going to be better, no matter what it is.
Yes.
You have
So-
control over the ingredients.
It does make me feel a little full, but I just
No.
don't. I really want to let go of every single bit of inflammation that's in my body, and I know that giving up dairy is huge for that.
Mhm.
And
I think
someday I'm going
gluten
to
for
figure
me-
out how to explain that. Like, what the heck is she talking about? I don't, it's been explained to me, and it's hard for me to articulate. It has to do
Mhm.
with like it makes your blood vessels swell. It makes it harder for blood to flow through your body,
Oh my God, I told this
which
one
is
girl today.
inflammation.
I
When I
have a
went on.
document. I have a document on inflammation that I might post to our coaching
Oh yeah.
page.
I'm reading Inflammation Nation, but this whole thing about your blood vessels and stuff, a doctor shared with me once, and a friend of mine, and he suffered from Crohn's disease, and he healed 100% naturally with food only. And it took him like years, and he's even missing part of his colon. I mean, that's how bad his Crohn's was.
Wow.
That's
But
what
he is
my
fine
naturopathic
now.
doctor went into the medical. He chose the naturopathic path because of his own Crohn's disease, and his research paper for his doctorate was on Crohn's disease because what the allopathic doctors were telling him wasn't working.
Mhm.
And so he took it into his own hands and did the naturopathic way, and he cured his Crohn's disease with nutrition.
Yeah, it can go into remission, just like my Graves goes into remission when I eat really well.
Inflammation is the cause of all disease. So
Yeah, it all traces back to that.
yeah.
I'm gonna post for that inflammation.
I am reading the book Inflammation Nation. So far he's just telling me what causes inflammation. I'm like, I know all that. Can you please suggest some cures?
Take all that out.
Well, yeah, and I really he's a doctor, so I thought I'd pull his diet out and just start sharing that with people, give him all the credit. But, this is a doctor recommended person or regime that can heal. Place to start.
That's the thing. That's what it's all about. Starting, right? Like being.
Just cut out the boxes and the bags. Just cut out the
Wow.
boxes and the bags. That's huge. And the sodas. That's also huge. I
sugar.
started with high fructose corn syrup, boxes and bags. That's how I started a long time
Some people
ago.
are like, that's my entire meal. Like,
I know,
wow.
that was my whole life. My
But
whole life. Why do you think I
it's
make my
sad.
bread? I had to have something to eat. I juiced for a long time.
I
I'm
juice
trying to
every
heal.
day and I feel so alive because of it.
Mhm.
That green juice, I start to quiver because I just know how it's going to make me feel.
what
And
do you
love
put in your
that.
green juice?
I have cucumber, 4 stalks of celery, spinach, and a lemon. And
Yeah, that's
sometimes,
almost, I used kale instead of spinach.
sometimes I use a nodule of ginger.
Yeah.
And I just look at that and I just know that the nutrition I'm going to get in my body is going to be so enlightening to my whole mental capacity, to my body, to my well-being.
Making me want to get my juicer out.
I'm gonna
Get your
listen. I was just
juicer
saying
out.
it. I'm going to the store and I'm buying me some. I already have cucumbers. I just need some celery. I already have everything on the list except for the celery.
There's a whole book by, well, it's someone that Tony Robbins recommends, by this guy who just believes in celery.
Yeah, I've heard of that. And the
And
healing properties of celery.
yeah, just the whole benefits of celery.
I
And
have a friend who treated her rheumatoid arthritis. She didn't know that's what she had at the time. She just knew she had Hashimoto's, and she tried and tried and tried. But there were other things, bless her heart, that she never gave up, like the highball, seriously hard cold coffee brew, and like other things. It's like you got all the celery juice, but you got to let go of Coke or Diet Coke and I don't know, like there's so many studies that say those things are like the Diet Coke is not harmful, but if it can dissolve a nail,
Yes.
how is that okay in your belly?
Yes. And that's
How is it not
in your
dissolving the
liver,
lining of your gut
and
wall?
your liver, and your kidney, and your
And
esophagus,
everything else, because
and
your liver's
everything
got to
it
process it
touches.
before it even gets to your gut, or is it after?
Yeah.
I can't remember. But when I read that list of it can dissolve nails, they use it to clean up blood on the highway when like
Yep.
there's big accidents, and it's
not okay.
the dissolving the nail clearly stuck with me.
No matter what nobody says, they just want you to be able to buy it and still sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and then there's that.
Yeah, and then there's that. Like, how are we gonna take Coke out of business? Like the whole company, take them out. Let's do it.
But Coke owns Dasani, so they got into the water business because it pays too. So they're covered. That they could just give up the Coke and help the world out a little bit. I'm still not a fan of plastic water bottles, but it's better than not drinking water. It's better than a soda.
Yeah, I don't like plastic either, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And that right there, because people will always say, "Oh, what else am I gonna do?" Right? Like, it's too much for them to buy a metal bottle, like to have the.
Yeah, that was hard for me too. I hated it, but it all grew on me. And then when I had a health coach in my 30s, and she wanted me to drink all this water, and I was like, "Are you serious? How much water do you want me to drink?" I just don't think so. I was like, "What?" And then I had to do a food journal.
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, she would say, "Okay, now I want you to circle all the things that match." And there were so many Diet Cokes. There was so much wine. There was a whole lot of lunch meat. And she's like, "Now let's look at what's in all that stuff." And she's like, "Do you think you could maybe subtract a Diet Coke and add a water?" And I was like, "I don't know."
I mean, no, but if you say I got
to, I'm paying you a lot of money, so yeah, I'm gonna do it. That's why I did it. That's all why I did it, because I wasn't going to pay her and not do what she said. I'm like, there's got to be something to this.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well,
sure.
we can on for an hour. We'll be back next. This was an amazing conversation. Just so informational. Like the things, the little things in life that we've been through that literally you don't have to struggle with. Anybody doesn't have to struggle with is life changing. And
don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yes. Health is wealth.
Everything.
Let's be rich.
Yeah.
In everything.
Health is wealth, for sure.
Yep. We will be back next Thursday. Same time, same place. You guys have an amazing night.
Hey, and next Thursday we'll talk about our next cleanse.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You can give people like the heads up of what's
You know,
going
if
to
we start it at the beginning of February, we could be done by Valentine's Day.
Wouldn't that be beautiful?
Or people could just
Absolutely.
eat great
You know,
and not.
people are scared around holidays.
Yes, because they were like, oh, my honey is going to
It's
buy
just
this.
because you've attached so much to something for so long, and it's hard to
Yeah.
imagine being different.
Yeah,
Let's
I
see.
like that idea. Actually, February 1st through the 14th.
You know what the challenge would be is could you give that up for one holiday, right? The biggest challenge is if let's just take it an extra day that the 14th literally
How
is your
good
last
might
day.
you feel by the 14th?
You're
Oh my
You know,
goodness.
you might not want it.
I like it.
So that's that accountability. Let's see who's willing to take it to that next level.
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about it. Everybody have an amazing night.